Mediocre Disc Golf Podcast, an average podcast for the average disc golfer. For the first time in a couple weeks, I'm Evan Anstutz, joined as always by Kim Hatcher. We're happy you could join us. Kim, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Yeah, just living the dream. Evan, how's it been being back? You were on a work trip, so you've been kind of MIA for a little bit. How's that?
It was good. I started out my 10-day trip away from home, which is probably the longest I've been away from home like by myself. So that was like a fun, like, oh man, I'm an adult and I've got to figure all these things out by myself.
Yeah, I feel that. It's me
Um,
every weekend.
I do not envy you after this, but went to Masters Cup in California, which that started out with two great flights, and then I got to the rental car counter, and all they had for me when I requested a sedan was a Toyota Tundra. Big old
Oh, a
full-size
truck.
truck. Yeah,
Oh, heck
full-size truck.
yeah. Heck yeah.
Which was an experience going from Florida, where I have a sedan and a hybrid SUV, to now driving a truck in California. I was like, this is backwards. This isn't how it should be. I
That's
should
so funny.
should be driving my big old truck here in Florida. But nope. I went up a mountain road that was 2 lanes, but the size of 1 lane. So like turning hairpin corners, and then boom, there's a Prius like hurling down the mountain at you. But I enjoyed driving the truck because the California drivers are insane. It's like, go ahead, hit me. I don't care. I don't even know if I'll notice. But
Yikes.
that is how it started. And then like learning how to park that on a hill, which I don't
Yeah.
know how to park on hills in general.
Well, we don't have them here. We don't
Yeah.
have them.
Yeah.
So you
And
went to California, right? And then
yep.
California, you played in the AM side Masters Cup, right?
Yep. Yep.
Which is pro
And
sides this weekend.
pro sides this weekend. I did not play well, but I think this will get into our topic of conversation later. I played De La Viega effectively blind. I'd played it once
Yikes.
before, like almost a year ago, and then I played a course called Pinto Lakes, which is really, really cool. One of the sites for the 2011 Worlds, but I got a round in a day before Masters Cup started, and that was kind of like, oh crap, running out of daylight. I need to play this really, really fast. Let's skip a couple holes. That hole looks easy, so we're just gonna skip it. And
Ooh, that's the worst.
yeah, I had a lot of fun. Had some great card mates. I kind of felt like I was a little bit of like an exhibit, for lack of a better term, because like as people met me, they'd introduce me to their other friends, like, dude, this guy's from Florida. He came out from Florida to play this.
Everyone's
And
like,
they're like, how do you
why?
like it? Yeah, pretty much. And so the first two holes of my tournament kind of summed up my tournament.
Okay.
So I'm on the first tee, and we start out at De La Viega. It's like a 315-foot hole, pretty uphill, but it's a gradual uphill. So like it feels like it's not as uphill as it is, even though it's probably
Okay.
30 feet above you. And so I'm audibly on the tee going, it's higher than you think. It's higher than you think. Throw it up. It's higher than you think. Sure enough, I throw one of those beautiful Florida low ceiling 50 feet into the ground in front of me.
Right. Yep. Spiked it. I did that so many times at Throwdown.
Yeah, like if I was at home, incredible shot, definitely getting the basket, but that kind of set the tone for my card of like, I'm here for fun. I'm not particularly taking it seriously. Like I'm playing MA1, I'm still wanting to play
Yeah. I know
well,
what you
but like
meant.
I'm I kept telling them I'm on vacation. If I get mad at this tournament, it's like getting mad on vacation, which is kind of pointless.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. What did
So that was
you
hole
end up
one,
overall?
like 41st, tied for 41st in a field of 60. So like not
That's not
last, but
bad for going on vacation and not really having that like competitive drive, but also
yeah.
you had no idea what the heck was going on and tough courses. So
Yeah.
not that bad.
The second hole is 270 feet, and your lovely husband Josh texted me after the round. He's like, why are you struggling on hole two? It's 270 feet. Like, yeah, that doesn't tell you about how there's like a 60-foot, at least it feels like that to little Floridian, 60-foot cliff immediately in front of you.
It
And
could be 60. It could be 60.
I threw a shot, it got to the flat part on top, caught a rock, and caught an edge, started rolling back, and I look at my card and go, I think I might get a chance to do this shot again. And sure enough, it came just cruising past me, 50
Woo!
feet to the left, 50 feet behind me. I'm on the fairway, maybe 25 feet away from my tee shot on one, and I still bogeyed that.
The course
So
giveth and the course taketh away.
yeah, there's a phrase called, they call it getting daylawed, and I got the full experience in the first two holes. Granted, the first one was
Got initiated.
yeah, and like second round got my first 2 meter rule penalty. Uh, had some bad luck there. Pulled it together. Ended up shooting above my rating, even though I started out 3 over through 3 holes.
But I love disc golf. Disc golf is so much fun. I love disc golf.
But it was so cool. Everyone out there was super, super nice. They were all very helpful and like very understanding that I had no clue where I was throwing on
Yeah.
some of these. Uh, like because I'm sponsored by AGL out here in the Southeast, not a lot of people understand my bag. Out there, I was able to go like actually talk to people about what I had in my bag. They're like, "Oh, is it this run of locust? Cool. Throw that here on forehand based on what." Like it was really nice to have that, which I don't normally have. Just
Yeah,
throwing a
probably like a
smaller
different
brand.
experience.
Hmm. And then just people being fascinated that I was out there, I think helped me get a little bit of help. So shout out to everyone that I played with. You guys were awesome. Yeah, that was the Masters Cup, and then I went and played a course called Boulder Creek that was up in the mountains of California, and that was really cool, really pretty. And then caught a red eye over to Pittsburgh for work, and I did a team building thing with work, and my boss insisted that that team building activity be disc golf
Disc golf. It was
because
it? Was it actually?
yeah, yeah, we went and
Oh,
played
that's
disc
so
golf.
fun.
So it turned into like I took them out. My work has like soccer and baseball fields on campus, so I took them out during lunch just so they could like throw discs around and kind of see what it was about. And so they already had an idea of how like the difference between them as beginners and me as a advanced player. So when we got out to the actual course, which is if you're in the Pittsburgh area, go play Nob Hill. Super great course. One of my favorite courses I've ever played. There's short, medium, and long pads. They played from the short pads, and I played from the long pads in a
Oh, yeah.
six
Yep.
in a 6v1 scramble.
Yes, I love it. Big fan.
I
It's like
lost by
Mario Party.
yeah, I lost by 3,
Not
but
bad.
it wasn't bad, especially because and they were like, yeah, you definitely would have like killed us because it was going to be 6v1 like from the same pads, but we didn't realize that the long pads, a lot of the shots, like my drive is getting just in front of the tee pad, like on a good drive.
Yeah, I gotcha. So
Um,
actual long pads.
yeah, so I was essentially on some of the holes giving an entire stroke away just from where I was teeing from. But they had a good time. They learned just statistically, one of the 6 of them was going to throw a good shot. So if the first person threw a great shot, they were all just like throwing it as hard as they could to see if
Oh,
they could
yeah.
make it. It was a lot of fun. They kept talking about like, wow, I didn't know this was here. Like I come to this park all the time and I didn't know like there are all these back trails with all this stuff. This is really cool. Multiple of them were like, oh, I'm gonna come out and play again. Where do I get a pack? Where do I get a
Oh,
starter
I
kit?
love it. Welcome to the cult.
Yeah, so that was a cool little grow the sport moment for me.
Love that. Love that.
And yeah, just it was cool to hit different areas of the country, play different kinds of golf because
Yeah.
California is more open, but still hilly, and then Pennsylvania's very hilly and wooded. So that
Mhm.
was very challenging. It was a really cool course. And then back to
Yeah, that's
Florida
awesome.
where I'm throwing low ceiling shots everywhere.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, for my job, traveling every weekend, like if I can, I'll sneak off and go play. And last time I snuck off, I was in Kansas and I found this little like dinky church course. And it was
Mhm,
great because I needed a practice for throwdown at the time. And it was really awesome and just it was different. And it was,
mhm,
I mean, not every hole was amazing and top level, but it was enough to make sure that I had some good tests of that elevation. And there were some holes where I was like, not really a fan, but let me play it. Okay, whatever, keep going.
mhm,
So I love traveling so much. And then in Texas, when I snuck off again, I'll try to sneak off in the mornings while everyone sleeps in because our events are
mhm,
usually at night.
mhm.
Texas, I found like really good rated course, and it was so long. It was like 24 holes. I got to hole 20, and I just kind of gave up. And I was sharing my scorecard with Josh, and
Mhm.
he texted me. He goes, "You okay? You got like four more." And I was like, "I'm done. I'm done. I'm tired. This is 24 holes. This is a lot." And I was playing longs because why
Mhm.
not?
Yeah, it's so cool playing different places. I highly encourage everybody to go if you have the opportunity, play in different terrain. Bring a couple of discs with you if you go on a trip and if you have the ability to sneak away for a little bit.
Yeah,
Because like
yeah,
one of
hands
the
down.
holes I played at in Pittsburgh was probably the coolest hole I've ever played. It's a 600-foot par 3, but it's like straight downhill in a low tunnel shot. It
That
like
sounds cool.
yeah, like the difference between the long tee pad on 18 at throwdown
Blech,
to
I
the
don't even
bottom
mention that hole to me. How dare you? That
sorry,
hole's
but
rough.
from there down to the valley,
Yeah.
it's that shot, but like tunnel in a par 3.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, but I'm gonna say no. Thank you.
It was aesthetically pleasing because it was
Honestly,
spring.
yeah, that sounds awesome. That's the cool part about traveling is just to see different courses and all that. When I got to
Mhm,
play Picard Park last year in Iowa, which is the Des Moines Challenge course, I loved it so
mhm.
much. And I think I loved it more the fact that the Des Moines Challenge had coverage of it. So I was remembering the holes. And now when I watch coverage, I'm like, oh, I remember that hole. I remember that hole. Like I did well on
Mhm.
that one. I didn't
Yeah.
do well on that one. So yeah, all that fun stuff. I am not sneaking away this weekend though. I pulled my back. So I'm
Oh,
definitely
no.
taking a couple days off, trying to just get back to healthy. I hate scoliosis.
Yeah, back injuries are not fun. This weekend, Josh and I will be playing in a USDGC doubles qualifier.
Yeah, Josh was telling me about that. What course y'all going to be at?
Trinity North, so Trinity College here in Jacksonville,
Trinity
which
North.
they just redid. They did such a good job. Like it used to be, I don't know, outside of the top 5 in Jacksonville. Like it just
Mhm.
wasn't particularly good, wasn't
Just was
well
a course.
maintained. Yeah, it's just a course. Now, like if you play especially if you play the long tees, like they're challenging shots. There are 400 plus foot par threes with like obstacles. Like it there's some good par fours. It's a really good course now.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Someone told me something about a 15-foot drop zone.
Yeah, there's one like gimmicky spot where it's a shorter par four, and from the short pads, like it's short enough where I can just bomb away at the tree line and just hope I get through.
Yeah.
But there is a Mando that the course designer put there to make it like a true par four instead of like a soft par four or a long par three, which like
Mhm.
I get where he is at, but little Evans heater here. I don't think Mandos should be used for course design. I think Mandos should be used for safety.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. That's a good point. Cause
I think
yeah.
I think
Mhm.
if you like New World's got some cool holes out there. New World Red number 2. I don't particularly love because the only thing that makes that hole interesting is the double Mando kind of out in the open. And if that wasn't
Yeah.
there, like my gripe with that is there's so much property there that they could have put hole two in a lot of other places. And
Good point.
it just kind of feels gimmicky. But like other than that, and yes, that Mando is literally I paced it off today when I played my practice round. It is 15 feet from the basket, which I don't love because I had a great tee shot from the short pads and I had to throw this like weird skipping hyzer from 40 feet to like even have my birdie look.
Mhm.
So some people will tell you, get good. Some people will agree with me that that's a little dumb. But
Yeah, but you
I'm
can't
so
have courses that are perfect because you're not gonna please everybody.
right, exactly.
You're not gonna make everybody happy, and
I'm
that's just
willing
what it is.
to I'm willing to give up one little dumb gimmick on one shot of a par four on this course to see how much it's improved. Like I will,
Yeah,
if that
definitely.
is the price of admission to get this course to where it's at, I'll take it every time.
Definitely. I agree.
So you know that Josh, he throws far, like really far.
Does he? Does
Yeah,
Josh throw far? I
he
haven't
throws really
noticed.
far.
I haven't
So
noticed.
my job on the doubles team this weekend is just to make putts. So
You say that, and Josh and I have played doubles before, and usually, like, he drives and I will arrive,
mhm.
but it just flips. I guarantee you, Evan, there will be a strong amount of holes where you're gonna be the one driving because Josh is just, like, messing around or can't figure out how to dial in the short ones. Like, there's definitely gonna be a lot of holes where Josh
Oh
ain't gonna be,
yeah,
like, stepping up with his putting.
yeah, no, for sure. We played a little practice round where we were playing doubles, and like I was just throwing like my Rive, which you can get at the disc shop.
Oh, you can no way.
You can get a lot of my bag at the disc shop. As a matter of fact, a lot of my bag is from this shop.
Sounds like we're sponsored by that. I don't know. Weird vibe.
Weird, weird. But a lot of strategic, just me hyzer to circle's edge or circle two from the long pads and see if Josh can do something cool. So that is the plan. Kim, you were telling me that the dish shop also got something else in this week?
The disc shop also has the brand new 2023 Tour Series Discraft lineup. All right, I'm super pumped about it. I've become such a Scorch fan ever since I had to graduate from Thrashers, and
Mhm.
the new Tour Series Scorch, one, I got a really pretty one. Two, just beautiful. So much glide, has some stability, so I can kind of trust it a little bit more. Just phenomenal disc. And they've got the Zone OS and ESP plastic. They've got so many discs. Go check it out. It's awesome. Use the code MDG Pod at the disc shop. Or if you go in person, you let them know you listen to the podcast, they will help you out right there. But those discs are so pretty.
Yeah, and if you want to check out what's in my bag, they have a bunch of AGL Madrones, and that is my putter of choice. That is actually what got me into AGL 2 years ago. So if you want
That
to
was your
see what that's
gateway
all about,
drug.
yep, gateway drug. And now half of my bag, more than half my bag, is AGL.
It's a phase. It's definitely a phase. If anybody needed to know that joke, Josh started liking MVP discs, and Evan was like, "Oh, well, everybody does that. Everyone goes through an MVP phase. It's just a phase." Uh, Evan, how many MVP Axiom discs are in your bag?
I'd say it's about 30% of my bag.
Mm-hmm. It's just a phase. Just a phase. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's talk about what happened this weekend. The event that was Jonesboro at the disc side of heaven. Did you watch coverage?
I did watch coverage.
I watched the coverage. I didn't watch it live. I watched post produce on Jomas, but it's fine. Um, so good. Both FPO and MPO gave us a show. This is what honestly, this weekend is what disc golf is all about. Just absolute out there emotion, drive, back and forth, playoff. So exciting. The MPO I watched everything. Watching Calvin and Eagle fight for it, it was kind of heartbreaking to watch Eagle when he threw OB on 18. Very, very heartbreaking. But Calvin making a circle 2 eagle putt, I think that was this he made
Hmm.
2 this weekend. Insane. I love it so much. Just the drive, the grit, all of that on the FPO side, going to a playoff. Kat Merch and Haley King, so awesome to see. And then just the absolute emotion from Kat Merch from winning her first major, not major, winning her first Elite Series. I love disc golf. Disc golf is so much fun.
Cat Merch winning at home, like on a I I don't know if that's her home course. I know she's from Arkansas.
No, I don't think it's her home course. She mentioned in an interview, she said that she doesn't believe in home field advantage, which
Yeah,
I can agree with because you could play your home course so many times and you can know it like the back of your hand, even if this wasn't her home course or if it was. But when you go into a tournament setting, it's different.
yeah.
It
It's
feels different.
going into a home course tournament. I almost feel it depends on the weather. If it's like a really, really windy day, I struggle to like separate from I throw this disc on this hole. That is what I've done every
Mhm.
time for the past 50 times I've played it is I've
Yep.
thrown this disc. And so the guys who don't play it very often are like, "Oh, well, it's this far, the wind's doing this, so I need to adjust." So boom, boom, boom. I've lost a couple of tournaments because of that. But it's also like
You get so stuck.
yeah, you get stuck, but there's also the you know where you're comfortable on that course. Like I
Yeah.
know if I can keep it within 2 shots at 4 palms going into the last 3 holes that I've got a chance because I know how to birdie all 3 of the remaining holes, and some of them are not the easiest to birdie.
Well, sometimes with that, it can be very tough because you almost know what could happen. I
Mhm,
feel like when you play courses, you're like, I know you never know what could happen on this one.
mhm.
When you play a course so often, I loved it.
Yeah.
Jonesboro is great. There were some holes that I thought were a tad bit not difficult. I don't want to use that word. I want to say, not sure what the word is exactly, but watching the FPO play some holes, I was like, this is very even the long throwers aren't getting birdies necessarily. So it would have
Mhm.
been nice to see maybe just a little bit more differentiation, maybe is the word. I don't know. I just like to see a little, it was definitely a really fun course, a lot of par fours, a par five, or multiple par fives. I can't remember. It just overall really, really great. And it was awesome to see both FPO and MPO just really show up.
Yeah, I agree. I think the FPO layout could have been a wee bit more attackable. But something I didn't get to watch a ton of Champions Cup coverage because of being on my trip.
Hmm.
But some of the rhetoric that was coming out about WR Jackson, I thought was absolutely asinine, saying that it was too soft of a course for a major, this, that, and the other, because Isaac Robinson went on an absolute heater all week, averaging 10 down. People are like, oh, 10 down on a major course. Like, is this course too easy? Blah, blah, blah. One, you've never played WR Jackson if you think that's too easy.
Yeah.
Like, WR Jackson, if you hit your gaps and you make your putts, it's an easy course for sure. Like, the fairways are very
Yeah.
clean, the fairways are very defined. If you get off the fairway at WR Jackson, you are screwed.
That what happened to Kat Allen, Katrina
Mhm.
Allen. She got off the fairway and it spiraled a little bit for her.
Yeah.
I I get what people mean. They don't want Birdie City going on. But on the other hand, these are our top athletes in the game competing. Of course they're gonna have a high birdie rate.
And then the next week we go to Jonesboro. If you didn't shoot 10 down in the first round, you weren't in the top 10 for MPO.
No. Correct?
And I was like, what? Where's the, oh, Jonesboro's too easy? Because I guess the issue people were having was WR Jackson has like a few things of OB, but that's it. It's more like safety OB,
Mm-hmm.
whereas Jonesboro has OB like as a part of the course.
Yeah,
And
true.
so I guess that's what they were wanting more score separation via OB, but I don't here two Evans heaters here. how do we go from 1 year, oh, Worlds is stupid and all the stuff in Emporia and Jones Supreme is stupid because there's OB everywhere too. We go to literally one of the best courses on the planet, and people are going, "Oh, there's not enough OB. This is dumb because someone shot 10 down
Like,
across 4 rounds." Like, come on.
we don't have to just throw OB somewhere to make a hole better. And
Right.
that's just important to remember. My brain is gone. Choo
Yeah, it's
choo, choo choo, motherfuckers. That thought train left the tracks.
I'm keeping that in. I'm just gonna quack it. Well, enough of my heaters. Why don't we get into Hoffy's heaters? For
Sign me
those
up. I love me a Hoffy simmer.
Hoffy
What is he
simmer.
simmering about today?
Well, this week I'm guessing it is a heater based on the title. And for those who do not know, Hoffy's Heaters is brought to you by Spikeheiser Dyes. This is where our social media manager, Matt Hoffman, gives his hot takes on things that no one else is talking about. Maybe it's
Probably
for
for a
good
good
reason.
reason. Probably.
Probably. This week I actually don't think it's gonna be. I think it's a topic that needs to come up. It's gonna hit a little close to home for me. So sorry, I might get a little emotional. Here's what he's got to say.
I got tissues. You're good.
This week on Hoppy's Heaters, I want to discuss something as I know Evan just came off of playing the Masters Cup, and something that he talked about and I find absolutely outrageous is the 2 meter rule. Now, I understand the great long history of disc golf out in California, and I understand that the great guys of like Stork, Kingsley, Subert, PDGA number 3, like I understand what they were wanting to do, as there was no established rules for disc golf. And I mean, I get it. How could you establish a lie off a disc that was 3, 4, 5 feet in the air, 4 or 5 meters up in the sky, stuck in a tall oak tree? I understand it. But I think we've decided as a PDGA affiliate and as a association of disc golfers, we have moved through the time and consciousness of utilizing a place where the 2 meter rule just doesn't need to exist anymore. I think it's a nice little fad. It's like, oh, a tribute to our history, like wearing a throwback jersey in an NHL game or a football game. I think it's a great little thing to see every once in a while. But I think that if it's a prime feature of your disc golf course, then your disc golf course may be inherently broken. And I think that there's a way that we can better utilize the space of a beautiful course like Santa Cruz and the Masters Cup. Masters Cup is the defining tournament that still uses the 2 meter rule. I think that course and that does not need it anymore. I think after hearing Evan speak about it, we don't need the 2 meter rule anymore. And I would really be pushed away from doing a tournament that has the rule.
All right, Kim. He kind of gave my take on it somewhat, but I want to hear your take.
2 meter rule. So this is how I explain a lot of things. It's like communism. So it's good in theory, horrible in practice. So to me, this is the same situation, because we do need a rule that if you can see the disc, but the disc is quite literally 150 feet up a tree. I'm thinking like hole 6 or hole 5 at Throw Down the Mountain, where you have to go around the curve and you can get stuck in the tree. Being able to just mark it on the ground kind of seems like not it. Like, that's not, you can't reach that, period. So truly, I get it. But in practice, when you're 2 meters and a centimeter above, and then you're getting penalized by it, it's like, it's right there, dude. Like, it's right there. So I get it and I don't. But I do think rules are good. And I think that sometimes it has purpose. It's a good rule
Yeah.
if it doesn't knock you.
So that's the thing. I don't think it's a good rule across the board,
Yeah.
especially for those who have not played over on the West Coast. I've not played in trees that catch discs so well, but also so randomly. And I think Jeremy Colling in one of the Masters Cup practice rounds put it best of 2 meter rule is dumb because you can throw 3 shots almost exactly the same and you get 2 of them can get 2 meter ruled. Or you can throw a really bad shot and be throwing 2 from the same spot that a really good shot is now throwing 3 because it got caught on the last branch that just happens to be
Mhm. Yeah.
2.1 meters. Like that happened to me in the last round of Masters Cup where I threw a really, really good shot and it literally got caught up on the last possible limb. Like Odell Beckham was in that tree and just caught it and held on to it. Like, it was the most frustrating thing, but that's what the trees there do. And I guess I don't particularly mind it on holes where like that is part of the design is don't throw high, idiot. But there are a couple holes out at De La Viega and Pinto where like the only line is up. And so you have to essentially bring in 2 meter rule. So you kind of just play,
Yeah.
you're kind of a lottery at that point of does your disc come down? You can throw it in the same spot and it might not come down, it might come down. Saw some shots that's like, oh, that's for sure getting stuck. And then other shots, and then they don't get stuck. And then other shots where it's like, yeah, that's a perfect shot. It's gonna be incredible. You're gonna love that. And it gets caught up and they're throwing three from like that happened to me in the first hole in the round in Pinto Lake. I threw a shot that the spotter's like, yeah, that would have been absolutely parked. But I had to make a 30-foot par putt because I got 2 meter ruled.
So how do they determine 2 meter rule? I mean, 2 meters is 6 feet,
6'6".
right? 6'6". I'm just thinking, how do you make that exact? What if it's 1 meter and
So
change? Like, how do you be exact with that?
one,
How do you
it's
enforce
it's
that rule
difficult
properly?
to. I did play with a guy who had a little meter stick, and it was called OB1, so it gives you 1 meter off the OB.
God bless. May the
It's
fourth be with you, everybody.
oh yeah, we're recording this on May 4th, so everybody listening this tomorrow. Yes, we recorded
Yeah,
this very
on
late in the
Revenge
week.
of the 5th. Everybody's going to be listening on Revenge of the 5th.
Hell yeah.
Back to the point. Go ahead.
But like we used that to kind of determine it and like loosely figure it out. One round I had a guy who was like
I don't
6'4",
like
so it was
that.
like if it was above him by like a good amount, like an unquestionable amount, then it was 2 metered. And then like it's very rare that it's close. I will say that. Like usually if you're in a tree, it's very clearly like more than 2 meters. There's not a lot of limbs there that are like, oh, that could
Is it?
be six
Oh, wait,
feet
hold on, hold on,
five
hold on.
inches.
Have I been reading this rule wrong? Is it 2 meters from the ground?
Yes.
Oh, I don't like that rule.
Yeah.
So literally, if Josh can hit it with his head, if Josh cannot hit it with his head, it's a stroke penalty.
Yes. And you play
Not a
from
vibe.
directly below it.
Not a vibe.
Yeah.
Not doesn't check out.
It's more frustrating than anything.
I
And
don't
from
like
talking
it.
to a
That
lot of
just
there's very clearly a generational divide in the California disc golf community. Like you talk to some of the older guys and they're like, yeah, that's what we've done. Like that's part of the heritage of where disc golf was invented. And especially at a course like De La, like it is such an old course. I can see maybe keeping that tradition alive, but it's a rule across the entire state. Um, I've heard of tournaments out there that will like say that they're doing a 2 meter rule just to like get approved by the governing body there, and then they go to the players meeting and they go, never mind, no 2 meter rule because not a lot of people like it.
yeah.
Like
I gotta
local
say
leagues
what
don't play it.
yeah.
It's interesting. I see why it exists, but I think we're at the point
Yeah.
where, like I said, there's a couple holes at De La where you are forced to throw over the canopy of trees and then crash down to a basket that is protected by a tree. You're essentially just
I
going,
understand the point,
yeah,
but I don't like it. So I get it. I agree with the heater. I agree with the heater.
I agree with the heater as well. I think it's something that's eventually going to get phased out. I think there are so many new disc golfers who get out there and go, "What? That's stupid,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that eventually it'll get phased out. But It's also something like everybody plays with it. So it's not like it only affects certain people. They're like, the risk in throwing high is what it is. I still enjoyed Masters Cup either way. Just got
Yeah.
2 meter ruled a couple of times, and it's like, damn it. And you go, this is
You know,
stupid. And you have to kind of realize, okay, I can get mad about this thing that already happened, or I can just move on, go, this is stupid, but I've got another shot to throw. So it was
yeah,
interesting
you got to
watching
control
the
the
different people.
controllables.
Yeah. So definitely agree with the heater. It was quite the heater.
It was quite the heater.
If you want a disc that is quite the heater, you should reach out to Spikeheiser Dies. Brandon is creating amazing dies for everyone to enjoy, and you can check him out on Instagram at shdies_DG and see what he has to offer in a shop, or request something custom. Spikeheiser Dies, excellence by design.
I just want
Also,
Brandon to take my bag and just turn it into spin dies. Just put all my disc on a record
oh,
player
the
and just do
spin
spin dies.
die. I didn't get to comment on this because, again, I was away, but the spin die he did for our giveaway, congrats to whoever won that.
So
cool.
nice. Honestly, wouldn't even throw it. It's magnifique.
Go on the wall. Yeah, it's so cool. Also, shout out Team Spikeheiser.
Team Strikers. Woo! All right, I need to circle back. We
Okay.
both mentioned cat merch and that home field advantage and how we felt like sometimes home field advantage ain't it. It's almost like if you play blind and if you're super duper duper comfortable with the course, sometimes that's an equal playing field.
Yeah, I think so.
Like,
I still think playing like super duper comfortable is easier than playing blind. Like as long
yeah,
as conditions aren't absolutely atrocious, you can just lean on
yeah.
previous experience. You can go, oh yeah, like I might have thrown a bad shot, but I've been there 100 times. I know how to get out from that area.
Yeah, I don't mean comfortable necessarily. Just maybe just really know that course, like almost like a course warrior type, and then playing
Uh-huh.
blind. I sometimes feel like you're on an even playing field because when you play that course in tournament play, you know, back of your hand, all that fun stuff. But
I
if you're
should be
playing blind,
birdieing
you're just
this. I
going in there
should.
and having a great time. You're
Mhm.
just playing cool. I would never recommend for someone to play anywhere blind. It's not easy. Even one practice round, I still consider that blind because you're gonna
Mhm.
walk up to that tee the next day and go, "What did I do?"
Or you're going to, in my experience, throw a shot in practice, absolutely park a basket, and then you find out that you just got lucky and that gap does not exist.
Yeah, yes, that happened to me. When you, me, Lo, Damien, Josh, KP, we all went to the luau over in
Hmm.
Floral City or Floral Park, Floral City.
Floral
Floral
City,
City.
course, Floral Park
Gotcha. So
in
that
Floral Land.
I remember
Just
practicing it with you
floral.
boys. We got there like an hour and we could just throw some discs. And I remember throwing a hole. Don't remember what number it was. And in that day, I was like, oh, perfect. I'll just throw this. And then the next day, come to find out, I got really lucky. And that's not the play for my game. I had to actually ended up having to go up and over, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, playing blind is not it. I actually have been just because with my job and I have not been able to play a lot, when I do go out and play practice rounds, I bring like this tiny little memo book that I got at Walmart and a pencil, and I'll just go through and like write what I'm thinking almost. I saw Paige and Juliana Corver, Paige Pierce, did a video about it maybe a year or two back, about like going through a course, what do you do, going through a practice round. And I've kind of taken some inspiration from that. But I'll go through and I'll write it down so that way the next day I'm not like, what did I do yesterday? What worked yesterday? So I'll write that all down. So let's just use what's a good hole. Hole one at throwdown. Let's say I tried a fairway driver and I went too far. So I tried a soul, and my soul right now is not flippy at all. So that didn't work. And then I tried the Buzz SS, and that actually is really flippy for me. So like that worked. So I make that little notes in there. Or tried forehand, really got to get it up. Something like that. Just to get it out of my head. So that way the next day, or even maybe it's a shotgun start and I'm just trying to get some holes in really quickly just to see something, just to get it out of my head and it's in the book. So that way I know. And even if I walk up to the hole and I know exactly what I wrote down, at least I got something out and I know that's the correct shot. I'm confident that was the correct shot.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something interesting there that I really try to focus on when playing blind, and that's like playing to my strengths. When I'm
Yes.
uncomfortable with a shot, I generally, even though I consider myself pretty 50-50, I generally will lean on my forehand if I'm in a
I'm the
stressful
opposite.
situation.
Yeah.
Because for me, playing ultimate, like I like being able to look at my target. I know how to throw the disc on all sorts of angles with the forehand because in ultimate that's what you're kind of forced to throw a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So like I generally like to throw forehand. So if I get the opportunity to do an exploratory round, I throw one backhand off the tee and one forehand off the tee
Yeah.
to see what works, what doesn't. But I mean, if you're playing completely blind, if you're a backhand player and you're not
Stick to what
comfortable,
you're good at.
stick to what you're good at.
Stick to the
You
disc
don't
you're good at too.
Yes, I was about to say, don't just sit there and go, "Oh, well, everybody else threw a Firebird here or something really overstable and they're parking it." When you can just throw a mid-range dead straight and end up edge of circle. Like
That was
play
hole
your
one. Throw
game.
down the mountain. Hole down, throw down one. Everybody's throwing fairways, distance drivers. I
Mhm,
walked up there and I went, "This is a buzz SS shot on a backhand if I've ever seen one." Like
mhm,
I knew I could probably throw forehand, and I can throw forehands well, but throwing the buzz, I threw it every day, and I landed in the same spot. I only got the birdie once, just because
mhm.
the putt's pretty tough. But
Yeah.
you gotta just go what you're going with. My go-tos right now, I would say, if my back was not in a terrible amount of pain, Buzz SS all day long. I know that disc. It's my bread and butter. I know what it's going to do. It's great. Backhand disc, it sounds weird, but I'd say Undertaker or Zeus, depending on
Mhm,
situations. It's just a good utility. Forehand, backhand, thumber, tomahawk. I can really just manipulate that disc well,
mhm.
Undertaker or Zeus, just depending on what I need. So what would you say were good go-tos? Like if you're playing blind and you just need to stick to what you're good at, what are you good at?
I'm really good. I have a really beaten AGL Locust that I can throw on hyzer and it'll fade hard at the end. I can throw flat
Backhand,
and it'll
forehand?
be either way. Like I
Okay.
can, it's kind of do a little ad here. It's like a mid-range control wise, but
Mm-hmm.
fairway driver distance wise. So
It's like a
that's what
fairway driver.
I'll yeah. Wow. It's almost like that's why it
You're
is what it
like,
is.
it's like a mid-range, but it's got some distance, like a distance driver. And I was like, oh, like a fairway driver? You walked into that
Mind
door.
blown. I did. I 100% did. But I really, really like throwing it. I can throw it very confidently. I can hit gaps with it. I can throw distance with it. Hyzer flip and hyzer. Like I will lean on that disc even more so than I'll lean on just throwing forehands because I can. If I had to pick one disc to go play like a rated round with, that's all I got. I'd pick a locust just because I know what
Yeah,
it's gonna
I
do.
get that. Yeah, you know exactly. Even in wind, you know what it's gonna do.
Exactly.
You're never gonna throw that. That's what that happened once. I used to throw a force and I would never throw it on a backhand. And one time I did, and it never faded. And the head went. I was like, oh, I didn't know we could do that. Interesting. Interesting.
um, but I think the biggest thing for me, and this might be the ball golf background, is just playing each shot as its own challenge.
Yeah.
Don't think about the next shot. Don't think about the shot you just threw to get yourself in a bad situation or what have you. Don't think about like, oh, if I had done this, it would have been better, or good thing I didn't do this. Like, move on to the next shot and execute that shot in front of you.
Yeah, that's a
because
great point.
I mean, realistically, that's what you should be doing all the time. But especially playing blind, you can go, "Oh crap, I shanked that shot and now I'm here and I really needed to scramble so I can save my par, or worst case take a bogey, like I really don't want to take a double here." And you just start like filling your mind with really bad thoughts when realistically the shot in front of you is just like, yeah, it's a tight gap, but you've thrown that shot 100 times at your course. That's something else that you can do is if you're
Yes.
it's visualize. Like I've done that plenty of times of
Visualize your home course.
this is just this hole at my home course.
Yes. I do that all the time when I'm really struggling, or like if I just feel like I'm lost in the course almost. Like I feel like maybe the course is getting to me. I'll just look and be like, all right, this is hole, what's a good one? Hole 8 at Reed Canal. It's hole 8 Reed Canal. I just got to hit that gap, punch it hard, and I let the disc do the work. Punch it hard. Like
Yep.
I do that. And that honestly top tier tip right there. Trust your discs, trust what you're good at, backhand or forehand, or visualize that it's just a home course hole, because truly when you get down to it, there are holes that are similar. Not exactly, don't get me wrong, but there are gaps that are similar, or the feeling is similar. That's a great
Yeah.
point. I love that.
It's really important just to watch your mental game when you're playing blind. I think any level of disc golfer knows their game well enough that as long as they can keep their mental in check, they're good to go. And I think for me, one of the biggest things that I do is I just look around. Like Pinto Lake, if you get a chance to go out and play it, it's in the middle of like the agricultural part of California, but you're still surrounded by mountains, and you have Monterey Bay at like one side is mountains, Monterey Bay is on the other side. You kind of get out to this open area and you go, man, disc golf's cool. Like you end up at some cool spots. It kind of sets the perspective of no matter how bad you're playing, no matter what's going on around you, like this is cool. So just enjoy the course that you're playing. If you're playing it
We
blind,
should become like psychologists for disc golf. We should just gonna walk around
rename
in
the
white
podcast.
coats. Yeah, Dr. Disc Golf.
I'm pretty sure I get sued.
Yeah, probably. It's fine.
I'm also not smart enough to do that, so.
Yeah, you and me, we got those tech backgrounds. We can just code our way into profitability. Sure, that's the word.
We're gonna roll with it.
We're gonna roll with it.
But I mean, that's the biggest thing. Josh just texted me. I don't know if he can overhear the conversation. He said, "Don't do it in a tournament," as his tip. So, good. Thank you, Professor Disc Golf. More Captain Obvious, but yeah, try not to do it during a tournament.
That's funny.
Well, Kim, any other tips for the people as far as playing blind? I think we covered quite a bit.
Don't have scoliosis, and then don't pull your back.
I don't know what that has to do with playing blind, but noted as well. You heard it here first, everybody.
You're welcome, everybody. Thank you. This is what I'm here for. Okay, back to I would just say find comfort in being uncomfortable, because that's the only way you're going to get better. And that's what I try to tell new people to the game. Like, you're going to be uncomfortable. Nobody walks up and is comfortable with it. So be comfortable with being uncomfortable, own it, embrace it, keep going.
You turn the last 90 seconds of this podcast into like a generic self-help podcast. Way to go, Kim. Well,
you're welcome.
That wraps it up for today. You can find Kim on Instagram at Kim the Great and me at Evan Amstutz GG. Remember to follow the pod on Instagram at Mediocre Disc Golf Pod and on Twitter at Mediocre DG Pod. If you want to support us, buy our shirts on mythicdiscgolf.com and listen to us every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you enjoyed the show, leave us 5 stars in your review. And if you didn't, still give us 5 stars and tell us why. We know we aren't perfect because we are mediocre.
Good night.